Hey, 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 I'm Michelle.
And I'm Greta.
We are girlfriends who have always been seekers. We love learning, sharing, and most of all, we love having those soul-to-soul moments with our girlfriends.
Our podcast is about spiritual connection and sisterhood. You are not alone. So grab your glass, get comfy, and join us as we make some noise, light up the room, and
Get into it.
So we were just talking about how everyone's kind of frazzled and stressed out these days.
I know I am.
I know I am too.
Like right now in this moment, I'm frazzled. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were sharing how we're just trying to do so much. We're trying to squeeze so much in a day. There's just always 100 balls in the air, and one drops, then you got to try to, make sure the other ones don't fall. And it's this constant. And so no wonder women are just burned out.
Yeah, we have so much to manage all the time.
Yeah.
It goes beyond, if you have a full-time job, right? And then whether you're married or not, but if you're not, you're potentially dating. If you are, you have your husband. If you have kids, you have them. Maybe you don't have kids, you have an animal. There are just so many things that are tugging at us all the fucking time.
Yes.
It's exhausting.
Constantly checking my phone, making sure I didn't just completely forget something.
Well, I did. I forgot a child the other day at the orthodontist. And I mean, she's 13, so she can function, but because I was out of the normal day routine, normally I drop one off before the other, and this got switched. And so I'm like, oh, I'm done. Go home, get ready to take a walk with the neighbor. Then I get the text. Are you on your way?
Oh, God.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Right now, I'm walking out the door to go get you.
I can totally relate to that. I mean, now my kids are driving themselves places, thank God. But our school had this thing where you would have to pick up your kid early on Wednesdays, and I never know what the fuck day it is. So now you're throwing in a random day of the week in the middle of the week where I got to get them an hour early, and I would forget like every other fucking time. It was terrible. My kids, I think, were so used to me just being there, and they just would freak out if I wasn't there, like at that, minute that they were out of class. And it's like, no, you need to relax. I will get there when I get there.
Seriously. I mean, maybe the schools need to open up the gym or something and be like, hey, whoever's parents are not here on time, you just go hang out in here. It's a lot. Why one day, or they'd start late on one day. That messes me up right now. It's an hour later or something. I don't even know. I don't know what it is. I rely on the kids now to tell me where they need to be and what they need to do. It's too much.
Yeah. Because we're keeping track of their schedules and our schedules and
absolutely
doctor appointments and what to make for fucking dinner.
Ooh, you're a good mom. You make dinner. Some of us just decide, find some cereal or some snacks, okay? Like nobody's starving.
That's funny that you bring that up, because one of my dirty little secrets that people probably don't know is that, I have a recipe blog on Instagram and TikTok, and my family doesn't usually eat those meals. First of all, they're like too healthy, and they're I don't want that. And so I just sort of given up on them as far as that goes, because that's annoying. I mean, when they were little, I definitely got them to eat really healthy food. They're going through that phase of life. I did it too, where all they want is shit food. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping they will come back around like I did, but we'll see. You can only do so much, and they're big kids now. I can't control everything that goes into their mouth. And yeah, so I will usually record these videos, delicious food, and then I eat it myself because nobody else wants it.
Well, I'm glad it's not going to waste, because holy heck, like the stuff you do make is beautiful.
Oh, but yeah, dinner, I don't make dinner a lot of times. My family is in the same boat as yours. So,
well, I keep getting accused that we're like the healthiest people in the school. And I'm like, there's no freaking way. Like, I'm sorry. I guess maybe everybody's just eating like shit right now. I don't know. I think that's just kind of the thing with the kids these days.
Well, DoorDash did not help.
It did not.
It's too easy. You can everybody comes home, you're exhausted from all the things, like we were just saying, so many things we're all involved in. The last thing you want to do is, first of all, like if your kitchen's clean, you don't want to mess it up, because then you got to clean it.
Amen, sister.
And then cook. Like that's a couple hours at least of your evening that goes to just getting dinner on the table and then cleaning the kitchen up again. So
It is. Although, lately I've been trying I've tried all those meals that get delivered, the kind that you cook, the kind that come frozen, the kind that, are already ready to go. And we do have one in town that has saved me 1,000 times. It's called The Color of Fresh, but it's so wonderful. I mean, their menu's limited, but I'll get like their meat by the pound or something, and then I'll make the rice and something else on the side.
Yeah.
But just having that ready to go so I can meal prep slightly has been a huge help. But don't you feel like in today's world, we have to find those things that help us so that we can get through all the things that are on our plate. And if we don't, then our freaking stress levels are going through the roof. And we just learned from a previous podcast that our cortisol hormone is going bananas and wreaking havoc in our bodies.
And everything that does.
Oh my gosh. So like all these things have, I don't know, such an important part of who we are and what we have to pay attention to.
Yeah. And sometimes I will feel like I'm calm, I'm cool, I've got this. But inside, that is not what's going on.
Right.
I do yoga and I try to meditate. It's still not enough. I think it is so important to reach out for help. And even when we've spoken about boundaries, it's like knowing where that limit is. It's hard when you want to do all the things.
It really is.
That's the problem that you and I have is we want to do so many things. We want to earn a living for our families. We want to support. And then we also want that creative outlet. And then I always wanted to be a mom and have, a busy household. And I love those parts of being a mom, like when there is time, like having dinner on the table, like those Sunday dinners and that cozy, creating that cozy home. But something's got to give sometimes. And I think it's just, knowing where your limit is.
I'm hearing you say that. I'm thinking, because I still want to hang out with my friends and I want to do things with my husband and I want to get to know my neighbors and I want to know all the people at the shops downtown because I want to support local. I mean, it's like all swimming in my head all the time. So I think sometimes too, and we've probably talked about this in past podcasts about friendships and things like that, but it's almost like you only have, you have a pie, right? And you only have so many slices in your pie. And sometimes things that you're interested in or that you're doing are purely out of convenience because you don't have time for it in your pie, right? Like you can't make another slice. Or if you cut one slice in half, you're not giving as much of yourself to this one part of something that you're interested in. So it gets really overwhelming.
I was just talking about that exact scenario with Jamie, who's been on the podcast. She's one of my best friends from like childhood. If you haven't heard me talk about her before, she's right now has started a program. So she's doing extra schooling and working, and she already is someone who gives a ton of herself. Like she goes above and beyond in her work. So as a teacher, and she was saying, I haven't talked to any of my friends. I haven't seen any of my friends. And she's a very social person. And I mean, I find myself in that spot too sometimes. And I am more introverted, but I still need people. So I can probably go a little longer than she can. But all of a sudden you just realize that piece is missing and you haven't had it and you crave it. And so it's like that balancing act, I think. So right now it might be she can talk on the phone for a little bit with some friends, but she's got to get her work done.
Right.
And it's going to be great when she accomplishes this goal, but
yes. But you take what you can get and you give what you can and you go with the flow sometimes. I think that's, this whole ebb and flow of life is also ebb and flow of priorities because we have to still make time for ourselves. Yeah. And that's the biggest message I think that as us doing podcast work is, I don't know, I want all the women out there to know that it's okay to be part of 50 things, but we also have to realize when we're doing a little bit too much. And those moments where we have to say no to things, those moments where we have to reel back or go, hey, if I can't be at all the birthday party dinners, I can still text my friends when I'm thinking about them and letting them know, proof of life, I'm still alive, I'm still here, and I love you.
I think that's a good point. I think so often with those type of things that you just mentioned, like the birthday parties or the, those like extracurricular activity kind of things, you want to show your friends that you care, but sometimes it is too much. when you are raising a family and working and all of that. And it is good to have those kind of friends around you that know you love them, even if you're physically not at everything.
Yes.
And I think people really struggle. I think women really struggle with that, to say no. I can't go to your brunch or whatever it is. Even, and it's okay. You may want to go, but you just don't have the capacity to do that.
Hence the term FOMO that came out, right? Fear of missing out. We struggle with that sometimes.
Yeah.
And, you know, the reality too is the more that we say yes to, the more no's we have to give out, because we can't do every single thing. I know for me, having 3 kids, one is pretty independent and self-sufficient because, right, he's in school, but back home living with us, there's still things I need to work on with him. I mean, I'm still helping him with schoolwork.
Oh, yeah.
He just got an internship. We were going over the details of that. So he still needs a part of me, right?
I'm on the phone several times throughout the day with my daughter who's away at college. So totally, they still need you. I think they always will to some point.
They will. And that's the blessing is
their
that
mom. Yeah, I want to be needed.
Yes. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but there's that piece of it. And then the 2 other ones who don't drive and are doing 2 different cheer gyms and schools and need rides to things, and they have their own lives and their own friends. And then I have my husband who has hit, you know, so we can dissect each person's life and see where all this time filler. And then and honestly, guys, like I have my mom who is reflecting on life and feeling like time is getting shorter and shorter for her. Wow. And there are those
very real.
It's very real. And there's those moments where it's like, whoa, where does she fit into my busyness? Yeah. Because I know I'm looking at it like, whoa, the time with my kids is getting smaller because once they start driving and getting out on their own, that window shortening, but also the time I have left with my mom, you know, is also that window is getting shorter. And my mother-in-law, who I also love dearly. I mean, all these special people in my life. And I think as much as I want to be part of all the things, I have to get creative and go, okay, this weekend, there is a cheer competition. Can you come with me to that? And then try to find those moments where we can connect and hang out, but yet my kid is still getting the things that they need. And so we're always in this
where you are in life right now. We are in the busyness of life right now. Our parents are not. And that is hard. I know I feel that way with my mom. I don't call her enough. I know I don't. First of all, I hate being on the phone. Hate it. But
same.
I don't. I'd rather see you in person, but that's not possible. My mom lives in another state. So I had this feeling just yesterday, actually, this feeling of guilt that kind of just lives with me all the time. Like, oh, I should be doing this. I should be working on this. I should be doing this. And I think it's so important that we really, whatever we are doing, we try to remain present, because otherwise you're missing the special moment. I was just out the other day with my husband. We've been having some really good date days on the weekends. We haven't been so good at that. I think the winter time and the weather hasn't really helped with that, but we had like a nice sunny day and we took our bikes downtown and sat in this cool little spot, and there was a band and we were having some drinks, and it was just like, it was beautiful. There was some rain coming, like a couple drops here and there, but the sun was still shining and it was awesome. Reggae music. I mean, my heart was so happy. I was in my happy place with my guy, and, you know, God had a little buzz going on. And I just happened to notice that several different couples, the women, it was like both like back to back. I happened to see these tables in front of us where the women were just grumpy. They were like, because the rain was starting, they were like, wanted to get the hell out of there. Their husbands were following them like little helpless puppy dogs. Like, okay, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I do to make you happy? And just the vibe, you know, I didn't know these people. I'm totally making assumptions, but what I could see, they just looked stressed out and like they had the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I'm thinking, why? You're downtown. I didn't see any kids. I know that can do it. You know, I didn't see any reason like why these women weren't enjoying this time with their husbands.
And I think that's an interesting point though, because first of all, we don't know, right? Like, I mean, somebody could have got a crazy phone call, like who knows? But I think there is just this collective feeling of being overwhelmed all the time.
And feeling like you're the only one steering this bus.
Yeah.
Like they had to make all the decisions is what it looked like. When to stay, when to go, what to do.
It's a lot. And I think some of us just naturally step into those roles where we are the ones that are the agenda keepers, if you will, you know, and some are not. But yeah, I mean, we just don't know what somebody is dealing with in their life, number one. But number two, anyone you talk to, it's very rare that I talk to someone and they're not feeling some sense of overwhelm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are those who are present. I'm not dismissing that. I strive to be that person. I'm definitely that person more now than I ever was in the past, especially when my kids were little.
I do think that is another point that I wanted to make. These women were about 10 years younger than me, it looked like. There was another woman there that was the only one dancing. I loved her. I wanted to be her best friend. She was probably about 10 to 15 years older than me. And she was cutting loose. Her and her husband were having the best time. And these two situations, actually it was three because there was two, you know, couples where the women looked kind of stressed out and frazzled. And then this woman that was just rocking out with her husband, having a great time. And it was like, wow, we just need to get back to that. That's where it's at. They knew how to do it right.
It's interesting because lately I've been not studying, but gathering information very loosely on like the blue zone areas and just people who are a little bit older and really enjoying life. And, you know, a plug out to my mom because she's constantly telling me about how, you know, life is short and how, again, she is getting older. But a lot of that, you know, when you talk to people who are at end of life, you know, or, you know, potentially even dying, right? It's always back to reflecting on moments that they've had. And yes, achievements, and this is not my talk, what I'm saying now, it has nothing to do with like, oh, you shouldn't be trying to strive for more. And that's not it. But what I'm saying is everyone seems to come to this consensus that these moments of feeling happy and joy in your life. So if you are someone who gets an accolade and that makes you feel on top of the world, keep on. I mean, I don't know. That might be me. I might be in school for the rest of my life. I fucking love getting trainings and certifications. Yeah. It really makes me happy. Yeah. And so until my brain maybe shuts down and I can't retain anything at all, which is
you love learning,
starting to happen very slowly. But you know what I'm saying is it's these moments of joy. And what I think you witnessed with your husband together, and also as you're watching this other person dancing, is these were moments of joy. And that is what allows us to wake up the next day. And that's what allows us to think about these moments where I'm going, do I have enough of those in my life?
Yeah.
It's those little...
Yeah, or are we thinking about the next thing and the next thing and we're missing it? You know, I love that you just brought up how, you know, an older person, what they really want to talk about. I was just with my grandma yesterday. She's 93. She just turned 93. And all she wants to talk about is those wonderful memories and trips that she went on with my grandpa and the funny things that happened. And it's every time we get together, she just loves reminiscing. She is blind now, so it has really been hard on her because she was an interior designer, loved to garden. I mean, just think about all the things that you need to see to enjoy. And especially as you're older, like there's just not a lot that you can do when you don't have your sight. So her happy place is just going back to those times and those memories and her revisiting her life.
And you just really made me think of something, because when we are missing out on those moments that like your grandmother talks about, when she had her sight, when she was fully able to participate with all the parts of her. And now, you know, she's experiencing life with some things being removed. So we don't know when that time comes in our lives where something that used to be what we may have taken for granted, we don't have anymore. And and again, I know sometimes it's so hard because our thoughts are going and they're spinning, right? But we have to continuously remind ourselves that we need to dial it all back, and we need to carve out times to where we're not watching the clock and trying to get to the next thing. We're not looking at our calendar thinking, oh my gosh, I'm already worried over what's happening tomorrow or the next day or in a week or in a month, right? Because we spin like that sometimes. And and I think, okay, again, and I know that I love that you're doing this meditation thing right now and that you're really working.
I'm trying.
You're really working on it. But I do think meditation trains our brains to constantly dial it back and get into those present moments where we're only thinking about one thing or nothing, but it quiets everything down.
It creates that neural pathway.
Yeah.
Doing it over and over again. And I think I'm struggling right now because I haven't been doing it. I've had moments in time where I've done it consistently and then I stop, and just like working out and eating healthy and all of that,
Yeah.
You have to like, okay, let's get back on track. But you're absolutely right. It trains your brain to be able to just dial it back, step back, take that beat. I heard it was compared to when your computer is not working right or your phone's not working right, and you need to turn it off. Reboot. And we need to reboot. Our brains are like way overloaded computers with every tab is open.
Oh my gosh. Last night, my husband and I were getting into bed, and he literally is sitting there with the laptop, and I go, whoa, I know you've been looking at computers all day, and I have been so stimulated because I just came off of a cheer competition, and then
that's some serious stimulation.
Okay, if you want to know what a person on ADD, feels like, go to a cheer competition. Go to specifically Texas cheer competition. For those of you who don't know about NCA, it's insane. Look it up. But he's here with his laptop, and he's in front of a computer all day, and I look at him and I go, whoa, you can't bring that thing into bed with us. And he's like, what? He's like, you look at your device, and I go, but right now in this moment, I'm feeling so overwhelmed with everything. I need you to put the computer away. And then he's laying down with his digital watch. And I'm like, that watch has to come off. Yeah. He's like, but it monitors nope, we're not monitoring right now. Take the watch off. My phone, I literally had to put far away, which I know research says we should not have it close to us, but most of us use it as our alarm. And then, we've got the big TV in our room, and I'm like, just that can't come on yet. I really was feeling just this overwhelm of just technology
You're too plugged in.
So that moment was one of those reboots where it was like, everything has to come off. No watches, no anything,
Yeah. And that was good. He listened to you because it's hard to do sometimes when you're so connected. I know a lot of couples that struggle with that. It's like their partner is always on the phone, and I'm even watching. This is another guilty pleasure. I've been watching Love is Blind, the new season that just came out, and it's really good. And it was fascinating seeing when the couples, after they've all matched up, and then they kind of like bring them back from this beautiful tropical vacation where they don't have their phones to real life. And they're living in this apartment that's beautiful, but it's like kind of easing them back into reality with each other. And some of the guys were just so on the phone, and I noticed couples using it. Like if they had an argument, they would immediately pick up the phone and just start scrolling, because it's like, that's a way that we don't have to deal with our feelings. We can just get on the phone and start scrolling and get distracted. And then it was so sad. This other scenario, the woman, they were unpacking, they were getting into their brand new place together, starting this new life together. And he was just sitting on his phone the whole time, and she was unpacking everything by herself. And she just wanted him to spend time with her. She just wanted his presence, his undivided attention, to do a small mundane task,
right?
But to be together and share a moment.
We've had a lot of talks about that lately within our marriage, just because I feel like my husband always likes to be the driver wherever we're going.
Mine too.
And that's fine. Like, I'm good with that. I don't mind chilling back. But then in that moment, that's when I start going on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like, well, I'm sitting, I'm not doing, because in my house, I'm usually doing, right, the laundry, the dishes, whatever else that needs to get done. And I wasn't doing. And so I immediately get my phone out, and we have had to have a lot of discussion around, and he does the same thing. So it's not that it's just just me.
It is so enticing. It's really hard to not.
It's not.
It's right there.
So it's almost like you have to carve out times in your day, right?
Put it down.
Yes.
make it a priority to just put it away.
Yes. Well,
Disconnect.
and phones especially have gotten people to like be on a 24/7 time clock for work.
Day. Yes.
Exactly. There is no like, oh, 5 o'clock I left, everything's there. It is with you constantly. And the buzzers are going off and the alarms.
At 6 a.m. And yeah, it might be a work week. It might be a work day, but not at 6 a.m.
Right.
Shouldn't be at 6. It should be, it used to start at 9. When you got to your desk and you pulled up your computer, you would start working. Now you start working the moment you open your eyes and you pick up your phone and you're laying in bed and you start answering emails and listening to voicemails and
you're expected to respond right away.
Yeah.
Like you're expected to get back to somebody immediately.
Yes. Or you're a slacker.
Yeah.
I have a big,
I know. Well, two things I want to say. One is I will say that I know that there are some people's jobs who, because of time zones and now because we are connected so much, you can't be 9 to 5 anymore. It just is unrealistic, right? If there's an outage, at least my husband does cybersecurity work. So there is an outage somewhere, whatever. There is no like, I start at 9. You know what I mean? Nothing can wait. But a lot of jobs have gotten that way because we're so connected now. So there's that. And then there's also, okay, so this whole idea of instant gratification and like everything should happen right in this moment. There's some comedian, and I'm going to have to put his name in the notes. His name's not coming to me. I love comedy shows. That's how I de-stress a lot. And he talked about being on a plane and people complaining about the Wi-Fi not working. And he's like, okay, can for a second we just sit down and be like, you're on a fucking plane in the sky, or you're sitting on a chair in the sky, like getting to where it used to take, years to get somewhere, like you're getting there in hours. So that's, I think the bigger issue is that.
And I think he said, I think I saw this same show and it was like, we don't even know how it works.
Yeah.
We don't even know how it's really up there.
No, exactly. And then he's like, can you give it a minute? Like it's got to go to freaking space and come back. Like we're not, but in our minds we're going, are you kidding me? I've just been on this plane for an hour and with no Wi-Fi.
I don't want to put it on airplane mode. Yeah.
Okay. Like, no. So what is happening right now? No wonder why we're all overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a bad habit that we've gotten ourselves into, I think. The habit of constantly needing to be entertained, needing to have something to do.
On demand. Everything's on demand.
And if we can just, like you had said with the meditation or finding those tools to be able to focus on what's right in front of you. Yeah. Enjoy life and have those stories to talk about with your great grandchildren.
Yes.
And grandchildren one day when you're in your 90s. I just wonder how many of us are going to miss out on life, especially, when we're in the prime of our life, because we're constantly so plugged in. Like, are we going to have those amazing stories like my grandma was sharing with me and my daughter yesterday?
I don't know. And I guess that's why as crazy as I feel sometimes in the cheer life, deep in the cheer life. But these moments where my daughter and I are taking planes together places and we're going with her friends to dinner and everyone's getting ready together. We're curling each other's hair. They're helping each other with their makeup. It goes back to that tangible, not just communicating through the phone, not just being so disconnected and playing games that are remote. It's like we're all there together interacting in ways. I think about, you're bringing up your grandmother and it's making me think of mine and memories. And I remember being at my grandma's house and sitting there and her braiding my hair. That was something she loved to do. And she'd bring a little bowl of water with her comb. And it was always, a part in the middle and these two braids. But that was her time together. And that's how we talked. That's where we'd laugh together. We'd share funny stories.
You probably really felt her love too.
Oh my gosh.
You had her full attention.
It totally was.
She wasn't
like
on her phone.
No.
Like combing your hair.
And I wasn't on mine. Like there was sometimes the TV might work. Sometimes it didn't. Like, we couldn't always watch the shows we wanted at that time. So a lot of times it was just silence and us talking and laughing.
I think even with TV, it's funny. I didn't know this conversation was going to go into, technology and stuff, but we
don't always plan how these talks go down.
I don't know what we're going to say.
Freeform. We don't.
I think at least with the TV, everyone is having a shared experience.
You're right.
Everybody is sitting there watching the same show, laughing at the same jokes, crying at the same sad thing, with everyone sitting on their phones. My husband and I are guilty of this. And I mean, I will get on him about it, but I'll be doing it too. It's like, it goes both ways. But we'll be on our phones with the TV show on in the background. We love watching Family Feud. That's like we're like old people at dinner time, 6 o'clock, Family Feud is on. And then shortly after that, we are in bed. So that's our routine. But sometimes we'll mindlessly get on our phones and, Amazon or whatever we're needing to look at or look up. And it's like, now we're not even really paying attention. I mean, you can kind of hear it in the background and be like, oh, that was funny. But it's not the same as just both sitting in a room with the TV on, sharing, laughs.
And I really feel that this is where a lot of these anxieties that people are feeling today is coming from, because our brains can't shut down ever. It's like you said, there's multiple computer screens going on at one time. Plus we're there together. Plus we might hear a sound outside. Plus we might be cooking at that same time as we're, rolling around, scrolling with the TV in the back with the husband, so many things are happening at one time that we can't even focus. And that's what's happening. Yeah. And that's what's making life really overwhelming and really crazy. And if you get nothing else from this message, please just look at your life and try to think about, where can we slow down just a little bit? Or where can, I hate to always say adding, because I know when I work with clients of mine, whether I'm talking about skincare or massage stuff, it's very hard to remove things out of our life that have become habit now, right? But if you start adding things in and it's like, well, where's the room for that? Well, you will find room. So if you add the 2 minutes of meditation every day, and then that 2 minutes seems like no big deal, and then you add 5 minutes of meditation, and you keep building up. Yes, it's going to take away from something else, but it's going to take away from the things that you really don't want in your life.
I think you'll find that they start to fall away. And I think with meditation and just having that moment to, you can even, I've done this too, go on a walk, and that can be a form of meditation.
Yes.
I will have kind of thoughts come to me and just peace without having, AirPods in and music going. Then it kind of can become a therapeutic thing as well. But if you just at least have that time for yourself in the day somewhere, I think it does help you to kind of prioritize your life a little bit more, and you can see clearly the things that are important and where you want to spend your time. I love that you, even though it is hectic and crazy going to these cheer competitions, you are getting that one-on-one time with your daughter. And that is a priority right now. We know these moments are fleeting.
Totally. I mean, just this morning as we were driving to school with both my daughters, it was also really cool because I started thinking about like, whoa, my other one's going to be driving and she's ready. She's ready to go. Like she is already looking at cars. Like she is.
And once they drive, that's so much time that you've lost now with them.
And in that car, those special moments, because I tell them to put their phones away. Good. And it's all of us talking. And sometimes I'll talk about like, what do we have going on throughout the day, whatever the topic might be. And then on pickup, it's usually one and then the other. So I do have those little moments with each of them. And car time, I think, is so precious. But again, the phones have to be put away because it's another spot, like I even was guilty of mentioning, pull my phone out. Yeah. But I intentionally make it a point to be like, no, look, we don't have a lot of time together. We are in and out of the door all day, all night long. I mean, I am Ubering for hours in the evening time. But there are moments where I have to say, in this moment right now, this is our time to talk and connect.
Yeah. But as you're making me realize, though, this is yet another thing that women, I feel like, have to take. And I feel like this is another thing.
Sorry, we just had a buzzer go off. We're not sure if it was a text message. We don't know, but perfect timing. Go ahead. What else are women having to juggle, Greta?
I feel like this is an example of another thing that we feel that we have to take control over.
Yes.
And guide our families in. It's like, not only do we try to make sure they eat well and go to sleep early, and now we have to try to control and monitor screen time, even with our husbands. It's like, damn, I just wish that our husbands would step in and do, I mean, maybe some do, but I just think women, that is sort of innately a part of us, that nurturing part of us, that we're always kind of looking out for the health and well-being of our families. And I think most men just don't think like that.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
Like another thing on the list.
Another thing on the honey-do list or that we can get or that we need help with. Yeah. I will say Eddie's really good about that. He's probably better at it than I am.
Oh, that's good.
Just because I think sometimes for me, I'm like, I'm already talking to them about 50 other things. I can't always bring another thing into, and technology is his world. And so I think that's why.
Yeah.
And cybersecurity, you know, he gets exposed to some crazy things.
It's like the cook doesn't want to come home and cook, or the hairdresser doesn't want to come and she doesn't do her own hair.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they know more about that thing.
Yeah.
And so it, you know, on the flip side, so it could be either or. But yeah, I just think that there are so many things that we just have to pay attention to. There are so many things. But I think as we look at our lives and go, okay, if we are feeling that sense of overwhelm, if we are feeling anxiety, if we are feeling that we cannot keep up and we're treading water, right? That's when you look at those moments and go, where can I carve out? Somebody's really trying to connect with us.
Going off.
Because somebody really needs me right now. I mean, that's how it is.
Well, they are just going to have to wait. They're going to have to wait.
The more I say I'm overwhelmed, the more people need me.
This is the reality. I mean, how many of us experience that? It's just like, I have to put some of those group text things on silent.
Oh, okay. That's another thing, right? Oh my gosh. But I do have a great example of the cheer weekend. This was really funny. A bunch of us parents went out to go get some food, and all of a sudden a couple parents start getting the little bing, 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 and it's their kids texting them saying, oh my gosh, we're about to take a picture. We need lipstick now. Come back to where we were and drop off my bag and my lipstick. And I'm
this instant.
And I remember looking at one mom and I go, is this an emergency? And she's like, well, I mean, I guess it depends on who you're talking to, right? Like my daughter thinks it is. I go, yeah, I'm not going over there. I'm not walking 3 blocks to bring lipstick over. Ask them to borrow some from somebody else. This is also the world, though, that our kids think that everything is, you need to be here right now, because they're used to getting it all right now. Their phones right now. So we need to just check ourselves. That's it. Get in check with ourselves. Help our kids out with it, because God knows they need help. Think about what we're feeling. Like they're getting so many more messages and exposed to so many more things way faster than we are. I remember looking through like a TikTok or something, like scrolling through TikTok. I don't know if it's TikTok or Instagram. I don't know. You know me. I'm not really good with the whole social media thing, but I'm scrolling through and like other ads are kind of poking through what I'm scrolling through. I'm like, what the freak, does it ever end? Like, it's almost like they're fighting for the airtime, right? And now I'm going all over the place with my thoughts where I'm like, am I looking at this? Am I looking at that? And now I'm off to something else. I go, what was I originally scrolling for? It is bananas. They're training our brains to be. Well, let's get into conspiracy theory.
But it's true. I mean, because I do release content and I've been looking at the stats, and on average, people will look at videos for like 12 seconds. And I remember trying to get really good content down to 30 seconds. It's difficult. If anyone does that, they know. But like 12 seconds. I mean, it used to be a minute. So it's getting shorter and shorter. Gosh, I just think we can do the best we can every day to just kind of try to navigate this technological world. But it is a constant tug and pull with it. And so
it is. And it's really sucking up our time, and it's really keeping us so distracted that when we have those moments of peace and calm, we're uncomfortable.
Yeah. We don't know what to do with ourselves.
We don't know what to do. Do I stare at my friend when I'm talking to her across the table, or do I go down and look at my text messages again just to like, that was an uncomfortable silence moment, right? I mean,
or like that couple I was referring to where they got in a little bit of an argument. He instantly went and started scrolling. It's really, you're not dealing with your emotions in that moment now. No. It's so easy to just push them aside.
Yeah. Instead of in that moment just saying, hey, I'm a little uncomfortable, or, you know, this is what's coming up for me. And then, sit with it. Have a conversation about that maybe. I mean, we're just really, really constantly looking for all the things in the exterior to numb what we're really feeling inside.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think it's a constant practice is what it is. Just like with me trying to learn to meditate. It's a constant practice. And you're good one day, and then maybe the next day you totally suck and you have way too much screen time. Or you're finding you're not in the moment at all and you completely miss the day. Well, tomorrow, try to do better. Try to, have those meaningful moments where you can't have them if you're distracted.
You can't.
You miss it. So, and with both of us, with kids that are grown now, we know how fast it goes. And I know I really struggled with when my daughter was gearing up to leave. It was like that 2 years before she was going to leave. And I was just counting down, not in a positive way. I was like, oh, like dread that she's going to be leaving me. And we only have this limited time to have family time. And it's going to look so different and all of that. When I was doing that, I was not enjoying the present moment. And my husband would have to reel me back in. So he's good that way. And be like, look, you're missing it. You got to enjoy where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I had 2 years still.
Right.
And I was already grieving her leaving me. So I think it takes practice, constantly checking back in with yourself.
Yeah, it
Don't
does.
miss it.
It really does. And the more that we can do that, just the happier we'll feel. I mean, I know I go back to this joyful feeling all the time, but ultimately that's what we're all in search of, right? Is we want to feel good and we want to just live our lives the best way that we can. And not every moment of the day is going to be filled with excitement and joy and happiness. There's going to be moments that are sad. We're going to go through loss, whatever that looks like for you, right? But also, if we are numbing out to everything that's happening, then we're just robots. And what's the point of being here anyway, right? Like when you're just going on autopilot, it just doesn't fill your soul.
No. And I think, that is what the phone is trying to do. That is their goal, is to distract us. So we cannot give them what they want. Don't
let them have power. Don't let them have that power over you. Yeah. Because we are powerful beings and we came in, to this world. I mean, whoa, like look at everybody individually and just how amazing people are in this world, how amazing you are, how amazing you, my friend, is.
You.
And I mean,
we all have gifts.
We all have
came
gifts
to use. And if we're just these, like, they just look at us like dollar signs, to spend that money, and they want all our focus to be there. And so if you look at it like that, just be like, fuck no, I'm not doing it. No,
like I want to shine and I want my light to be bright. And the more that this happens, the more dim. And then we just kind of fade away. We're just every breath. We only have a number of breaths left and nobody knows what that number is for them. And so that's the other thing that meditation does. It does help you breathe a little bit deeper and be aware of the fact that we are breathing. Even that task alone, to know that as we're sitting here, we don't even have to think about our breath. It's just happening.
Oh no, when I do start thinking about my breath, then I start having anxiety and I spiral really quickly. So
don't do that. Don't do that. Unless you start putting it to account and think, breathe in for 4, breathe out for 4. Oh my goodness. But, we just need to get back to just some of the basics. And I think, we didn't know where our talk was going, but I think we're concerned.
Yeah. We were both feeling a little frazzled and stressed out. We spent like a good 15 minutes trying to get the lighting right, because I looked like a raccoon that got punched in both eyes. And
normally I'm like, no, girl, you look good. But today I was like, Greta, we got to fix the lighting. I need to help you.
One day we'll have professionals because that is a job that I hold a lot of regard for. Like those lighting techs are amazing and they know what they're doing and they make people look good. So yeah,
we need them.
We need professionals.
Yeah, we totally do. We do. But it was like today was one of those days where it was very frazzled getting things together. And you know what? We just took a moment and said, let's just be here. Let's be present together and let's talk to our people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. This is real life. And I'm sure you guys are going through the same thing.
We want everyone to have a fantastic day, life, breath.
Yeah. Just be present. Don't miss it. Your beautiful life is going by.
Yeah. Reboot. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you liked what you heard and we're your girls,
please share and add a review on iTunes so we can continue to grow our circle. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at That's My Girl Podcast.